People say, let them hit rock bottom, like it's not a grave. Now I'm going to pose a question. What if everything you've been told about helping a loved one with addiction is wrong? Or maybe it's just wrong for you. So those who might be new here, I'm Brandi Mack. I haven't really posted in a while because I've been a little busy doing something that has kind of been on my bucket list. We're going to start with the background. First, I am not a therapist. I am a critical care nurse practitioner. I work full time, and I'm a mother. I'm a mother with lived experience and loving an adult child that struggles with substance use disorder. And to start out, I just want to say, if you have lived this life of loving someone struggling with addiction, my heart goes out to you. I know your pain, and it is a god-awful pain. I know what it feels like to feel like you're drowning and you can't catch your breath. You're sleep deprived. Every time the phone rings and it's a number you don't recognize, you ask yourself, God, is this the call? I know it because I lived it. I'm going to start out saying that the wonderful news is that my daughter has 1.5 years sober with the assistance of medicated assisted treatment. And I'm still shocked that we're where we are today. And I can tell you, for me, making it to this point, not even her, because, like day by day, that goes for families too. All right. It is day by day, my friends. Because as someone who used to literally wait for the shoe to drop, waiting on like that relapse to happen, because my daughter was a habitual relapser. She had been to treatment 9 times in 4 years. Sometimes she'd leave midway through detox. Other times she would complete the program. But what would happen every single time that she completed a program, she would relapse within 30 days. Every time. And that is heartbreaking. And when that becomes a pattern, you can't help but wait for the cycle to start all over again. And it was like each relapse would get worse, it would get longer. And it was always that when my daughter was in active use, she was not allowed to live in our home. And honestly, like the biggest reason why was because we had other kids in the home. And I had to make a decision. It was probably one of the most difficult and painful decisions I have made in my life, where you're in the position to feel like you have to pick your other children over one of your children. You gave birth to all of them. You love all of them. And from a mom perspective, that fucking sucked. It's heartbreaking for me to even reflect on now. Because I wish I had never had to be in that position. But there was no way I could risk her son, her sister, her brothers finding her overdosed. And it was, they would have been collateral damage from it. And I just couldn't do it. And so if you're living this life, I promise you, I know how painful this is. When you watch your child suffer and you have this pressure to detach, and for me, the whole concept of rock bottom and enabling, all of those things, I did them in the beginning. And I did them because that is what we are taught. That is all that has really been out there that is universally known for families. And families, when you're new to this, you are so desperate. You're still in the mode of you think you can save them, but you can't. And I'm telling you that now. And trust me, you're not going to get it now. You're still going to believe that if you do this a certain way, or if you do this, then maybe they'll agree to go to treatment. I know it because I was the same way. And at some point, it's just this endless cycle, it feels like. And as you continue to sink further and further into it, into the chaos, that toxicity from addiction, and many of us have toxicity already in our family before this started, because no family is perfect. It just bleeds and continues to bleed, and just really, people look at addiction like how the drug will destroy and eliminate the humanity in the person using it. I think that same thing can very much happen to loved ones who are allowing it to consume their life. And it's a kind of a natural thing. You either, because you're either cutting them off completely, right? Which then you can kind of compartmentalize. And if you know what I'm talking about, because I am the queen of compartmentalizing and just putting up like a freaking brick wall up that can't be infiltrated. You're out of sight, out of mind. I have done that with many people in my life, but I would never do that to my child. And I was hell-bent on ensuring that with the trauma I had, that I was not going to do that to my child. So even through the periods of this journey when I really took on like the tough love, don't enable approach, I still would engage with my daughter. Like I never completely cut her off. But everything was about her addiction, about why she needed to go to treatment, and to where, why would she want to keep engaging with me? It's the harsh truth. And, throughout, as the journey went on, I realized that I was just sick, completely just ill over it when I reflect. And it was after her last time in treatment, which was in January 2023. And she had left and she had come home and then she quickly relapsed, that it wasn't a nervous breakdown. It was like I found life again, but I had to hit rock bottom. If anybody had to hit rock bottom, it was me. And I would say in that moment, I think hit rock bottom because my pain and suffering was just destroying me. And one day, randomly, I had been working. I mean, I never would have considered this, but I had to shave my head. Like literally, it would not stop the thought process. I had to shave my head. And if any of you listening, if you have ever, if you're not religious, by all means, I'm not pushing this on you because I have not been religious. But if you hear people say God spoke to them, I look back and I would say God spoke to me. because there was no reasoning. Like, I had to shave my head. And being in the position I am in a hospital, and I was actually in a critical care fellowship, and I'm like, these people are going to think I lost my mind, and then, or they're going to think I have cancer. I did it. My give a fucks were like gone, and there really wasn't even thought in it. And I shaved my long hair off. And I mean, when I say I shaved it, I shaved it. And I wept. I I wept all that trauma through her addiction, through the abuse I endured for years with my ex. I the sorrow, just the pain, it was like it was almost as I cut my hair off, as I shaved it off, I swear my smile got bigger, as weird as that is. And when it was done, I wept tears of relief, of joy. Joy. Like, how can you, what is joy when your loved one is suffering with the disease of addiction? Sounds impossible, right? I bet the idea of peace, finding peace when your loved one is out there and you're you're constantly been in this mode of fearing that dreaded call none of us want to get. Yet you find peace. That moment when I shaved my head was really when I feel like my true healing journey started. And I started doing what I could live with. And what's crazy is, while my daughter was in active addiction, I decided, I shaved my head, and I decided fuck the narrative, fuck the ideology out there being pushed onto families. If I'm going to enable anything, I'm going to enable life. Okay? I am going to meet my daughter where she is. I am no longer going to talk about rehab. I am no longer going to talk about her addiction. I am going to get to know my daughter again any way I can. And I'm going to spend time with my daughter any way I can, as long as it keeps me safe, and it's as healthy as it can be. And so I started doing that, sharing a meal with her. I let her come home one day. I picked her up so she could come home. Everyone else was at school, so no one else was here. And I made her keep her backpack outside my front door, and I allowed her to come in and do her laundry, take a shower. Because if you are like people who say cut them off and don't even like offer to provide a tent, don't provide food, anything like that, it's okay to do what you can live with. It's okay to pay for their phone. And I didn't always feel that way. But when I say I shifted big, and it paid off. And I say that because when I made that shift to start meeting my daughter where she was in active addiction, it wasn't because I thought she was going to get sober. I had just thought, I'm like, she is probably going to die from this. And I have missed out on the last, 4 years of spending really any time with her. And I wasn't going to live that way anymore. I was done drowning. And it was just a couple months later, like from start to finish, when she came home and decided to get sober. And she didn't go to treatment. She wasn't a prisoner. She got on medicated assisted treatment. She was allowed to come and go as she pleased. My only rule was don't bring drugs into my home or on my property. And I didn't even think during that time, oh, this isn't going to work, like waiting on the shoe to drop. I wasn't even thinking that. I literally had learned finally, after all that suffering, to just live for today. Today she is sober. Today I'm going to spend time with her. I'm going to love on her. And now she has 1.5 years sober. That's pretty amazing. And through that, for those who don't know, I had originally gotten in the very beginning on social media, never thinking anybody would be interested in any of this. I can't even tell you why I got on there. And I just kind of started making like a video diary. I was just a person. I still am, I wipe my ass like everyone else. But I started sharing in real time the pain, exactly what my thought process was. And the craziest thing happened in that families were all in my comments and just, they were finally feeling seen. And that was a very odd experience. And it just continued to kind of grow. And I found this amazing community of people in recovery, of people in active addiction. And then, of course, all these families. And that changed my life. It really did. And people would message me when I really shifted to doing what I could live with, that mentality. It people were messaging me, which I never expected, telling me how they decided to kind of try the same thing and meet their loved one, and how their loved one came home and got sober, and or that, as sad as this is, their loved one lost their life to an overdose, but because they heard something new that was different than the tough love narrative, they were thanking me after losing their loved one, thanking me because they had several months of good quality, loving time, memory making time with them. That means something, right? Because any of us could die at any moment. And I have always made it a point to engage with as many people that message me as I can. I can't message back everyone, but I try. And so for over a year now, which is why I haven't been active on really this podcast, and I've been really less active even on social media, because I've been writing a book. And the book is called Do What You Can Live With: A Survival Guide for Families Navigating Addiction, Grief, and Impossible Choices. This book doesn't tell you what to do. I want to make that clear. But it helps you make decisions that you can live with, decisions that work for you and your family. Because the same ones you make might not work for mine or someone else's. It helps you make decisions that aren't going to haunt you. Okay? This book also, there's a huge chapter about boundaries, and it's about creating boundaries that aren't going to destroy your soul. And it teaches you how to set them with compassion. And there are boundaries that are set based off of what you can live with. Because the whole idea when I really made the shift was, I base everything off of this really one concept. If I was to get the call tomorrow that I lost my daughter to an overdose, what would I regret? And the biggest thing before I made that shift was I was going to regret not hardly spending any time with her and her missing out on holidays. My family, a big piece of our family missing every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, birthdays, all those things. And I'm like, it's hard to celebrate holidays when your family isn't whole. And so for me, I just started to reflect on the things that I had been doing that when really sitting down and reflecting on it, I was going to hate myself if I lost her because of those decisions that I made with love. Because the decisions to create these super strict boundaries, to do tough love, to, not enable, were all made from love in a desperate attempt, thinking that maybe her hitting rock bottom would help her find recovery sooner. But that wasn't happening. It just wasn't. And the thing is like, there's such a thing called radical acceptance. And I would say that's what we would call really what I did. It's the idea that you can love someone exactly as they are and protect your peace at the same time. Because addiction doesn't only hurt the person using, it fractures families deeply. And this book is also, the thing is that, obviously I wrote this as a mom, but I have sections in here because regarding for the siblings, for the loved ones who are doing kinship care, for the kids that they took in, with resources for you to help kind of guide you on options that are available. Because my husband and I went through it. We took in our grandson, and and not having a clue of what is available. There is so much information in this book, and it is over 300 pages long. And I can honestly say I am very proud of it. One of my biggest things was really advocating and just trying to share a different way. This book is going to give you permission to do the things that others may criticize you for and call you an enabler. No, fuck them. I'm serious. They're not walking in your shoes. They're not understanding the horrible, immense pain that you have to carry 24 hours a day. The sleep deprivation, the putting a fake smile on your face at work when you just want to crawl into a hole and never come out. The best way I can describe, I remember feeling many times wasn't that I wanted to die. No, I wanted to disappear. Can you relate? I just wanted to disappear. And I look back and I think, God, that was so selfish of me. But because of the other kids. But how much more was I supposed to carry? Because I'm picking up the pieces from her struggles of addiction and my family falling apart and not being whole, where my other kids really need me and my attention and my affection, that I was in many ways, I think, incapable of giving them. I really tried, and I made it a point, like I was present to do things. I was present physically, mentally, emotionally. I wasn't there for them emotionally like I should have been. And I have immense regret regarding that. And so that's the thing, is that addiction will destroy you. It will bleed into your family if you allow it to. It's going to impact you. You're always going to carry this ache, this broken heart. But I promise you that you can find peace through it. It sounds impossible. If you had told me this 5 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. There is no way living this fucking hell that I could ever find peace. But I did. And that allowed me to be able to show up for my daughter the way she needed me to show up, which ultimately I think helped lead her to recovery sooner, because I think she finally felt seen. You know, there's a saying, some of you may have heard, is that if you can't love me at my worst, you don't get me at my best. And think about it. Like, they're at this very low point. They're in there. I know at times it's chaotic, and trust me, my daughter and I, probably one of the most toxic relationships in the world in the beginning. And, you know, and our relationship isn't perfect, but God, I finally have the relationship with her that I always wanted, because I learned to shut the fuck up and just start listening and not giving advice. That's sometimes what we need to do as families, is just let them speak. And that goes for everyone, all the kids through their teen years. Let them speak. Let them share, you know, a difficult moment that happened at school, at work, in their life, without you criticizing. Because, I mean, a lot of times we tend to criticize without, I think, even realizing it, because our intentions are good. But sometimes we just need to shut up and listen and be present and let them know they're loved. And because it's their journey. We have our own journey. And the one thing about addiction is you cannot control them. They will not get sober on your timeline. The one thing you can control is you. And I need you to remember that. My book came out on digital copy on August 1st, and it's on Amazon. And paperback is now available as of August 5th on Amazon also. And I just want to say, I mean, it hasn't even been out, but what, like 4 days? And I've sold 81 copies. I'm blown away. And I will tell you, one of the things that makes this book very different also is because I did document my journey, my entire journey through this pretty much, as video diaries of me just word vomiting exactly how I was feeling. All of those videos, there's now QR codes in this book at the end of each chapter that you can scan, and then you can scan that code. It's going to take you to my website where all these videos are loaded, and you can watch the videos that correlate with each chapter and see, one, what I looked like, two, how bitter and angry and pissed off and broken I was, then the period when I shaved my head, how sickly I looked, which I didn't even see then. Um, you you're going to see yourself. And then you're going to see this beautiful shift where you can look at me. It just brings tears to my eyes when I was getting all these loaded to the website for the book, seeing the shift, like her in active addiction, the shift in my tone, my body language, because I found peace that I never thought was possible. And I believe that you can find that too, your version. And I will have in the notes section of this the links if you're interested in purchasing the book. I also have a Facebook group that I've had for a long time, which I'm going to start being more active on. I can only do so much. My priority was writing the book over the last year. Now I can shift my priorities, to other things. But if you're interested in engaging with other moms, by all means, please send a request, and you'll be accepted in. You can also go to my website, brandymac.com. That link will be in the notes, and that will have I have like a family's resource page. There's things about harm reduction. There's a link of where you can go. You can get Narcan mailed to you for free. At least it's free now. And just so much other options and information that's on there. And there's also links on the website to purchase the book if you decide. But thank you again for listening to this. And if you appreciate this podcast, this episode, please, leave a review. And if any of you listening has purchased my book, if there's any way you could go on Amazon and leave a review, and I mean, please give real feedback. I love constructive criticism. Please do so. It would really mean everything to me. But I love you. Thank you for listening, and please, families, know you are not alone.